Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going over the all-new 2022 Mercedes SL 63 AMG, and this one is the Roadster. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Mercedes-Benz of downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this SL 63. This one is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. Definitely check them out. Let's get right into the review. So under the hood we have a handcrafted twin-turbo 4-liter V8 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 14 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 577 horsepower and then 590 pound-feet of torque. And it is through all 4 wheels because this is a 4-matic Mercedes. Now let's go to the front end of the SL 63, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So what you guys will notice first and foremost is we have these kind of like softer body lines on the hood, and well, the hood is absolutely enormous. We have our little Mercedes logo next to the massive Mercedes logo down below. Notice there's a camera there on top of the logo. We have our subtle AMG badge here, and then I love the vertical slats here in the grille. Notice parking sensors are also subtly integrated there. And then you guys can see here with the daytime running lights and the headlights, again, kind of just adds to the overall aggressive, sinister appearance. And then just look at the venting down below, again, with more vertical slats. Just all of it looks so aggressive. And especially from a front end perspective, you can definitely tell that this thing means business. So first off, going off the tire and wheel setup, 275, 35, 21 is the setup for the front, and then 305, 30, 21 is the setup in the rear. And then you guys can see from a design perspective with the wheels, notice how we have that ring all around, which is just kind of like an AMG hallmark. I think it looks so cool. Got the AMG logo there in the center, and then notice with the Mercedes logo as well. We'll get into the brakes in just a moment, but then notice here we've got our V8 bi-turbo badge, 4-matic badge as well, and then you can see that little blacked out trim piece. Notice that the mirrors are blacked out. You got a camera there on the side. This does have Mercedes' new pop-out door handles that it seems like they're putting on pretty much every single car. And if we take a few steps back, you can see the full side profile on this car, which is really beautiful because again, you've got that really long hood there in the front, and then just notice how, again, soft curves in the rear, and it just really works stylistically. And I'd have to say, this is one of the very few vehicles that is a convertible that I can confidently say actually looks really good. Most soft tops just don't look good, but with the SL, they managed to make it work. Now you guys probably noticed that the rotors are absolutely massive, and this has a high-performance composite braking system, and it also has a limited slip differential as well. Well, it's an electronic limited slip differential. I love how you've got the yellow there for the AMG brake calipers, and then you guys can see in the rear, notice that the rear rotors are absolutely massive as well. You got to remember, this is a 21-inch wheel, and well, the rotors take up quite a bit of space there, and there you go. So here is the key fob. Notice it's got the AMG logo there on the back and also on the front, and it's kind of like a cool effect when you flick it and then the light hits the AMG logo. It looks really good. Anyways, if we hold this down, that'll actually just pop open the trunk, and it's fully automated, which is surprising because you don't typically see that in Roadsters like this. Now from a storage space perspective, the SL is actually surprisingly practical here in the rear. Usually you don't have a ton of trunk space, but this is actually pretty solid. Notice we can lock it here, or you can also press that just to lower it down, which is pretty cool. I guess I didn't press it hard enough. There we go. Which again, didn't expect that with a convertible. Now let's finish things up with the rest of the rear. First off, I love the turn signal indicators, how it's sequential. Again, looks really cool, as you guys can see that little animation there. And of course we have our SL 63 and then our AMG logo here. And the taillights overall, again, they're pretty flush with the bodywork here, and so again, it just really works. And then notice here the parking sensors on the rear. And then of course we've got our exhaust tip covers for the AMG exhaust, which you know, we'll get a little bit of a clip later in the video. And then notice there with the venting on the side. And then you can see with the diffuser as well. And yeah, there is the rest of the rear. Now here's the door panel for the SL63. Look at this beautiful black leather with the red contrasted stitching, and then down below, notice how we've got like white contrasted stitching, and yeah, just the contrast is fantastic. And this really pops. This is kind of like, I don't know if I would call it like a reddish orange or an orangish red. I also might be colorblind, who knows? But either way, this color absolutely pops. Then you guys can see here with the blind spot monitoring and the mirrors, Burmester sound system, which I can confidently say just absolutely pops. And then notice here with the door handle, and notice how they have the lock and unlock built into the handle itself. We've got all of our adjustments for the seats. This does have heated and cooled seats. Notice all of the window controls here. And then with the mirrors, you can power fold them in, and then look at the carbon fiber trim that goes across. We have our AMG logo right there. Now I've got the front seat moved out of the way so I can show you guys the rear. Now I'm not going to pop into the rear. You guys can see it is quite cramped there in the back. This is one of those cars that, well, is a 2+2, but in reality it's just a 2. But still, look at the attention to detail here on these back seats, and again, the color just absolutely pops. And then notice here, even on the side around the seatbelt area, you've got beautiful stitching. And yeah, again, for a backseat area that's probably gonna be used as storage space for most people, just looks fantastic. So here is the steering wheel for the SL63. Beautiful leather here at the top and at the bottom. Notice we got our AMG logo here. Perforated leather here on the sides so you can get a slightly better grip. And then look at the paddle shifters here on the back. They're kind of funky because they have like these little like finger holds in them. Definitely unique. And then you guys can see here with the turn signal stalk. And then we have our column shifter, normal Mercedes-Benz fashion there. And then popping to the front of the steering wheel yet again, this is a control for the center screen right there. And then you guys can see we've got our cruise control down below, and then notice here we've got controls for the infotainment screen, and then like your volume controls, and then we do have a drive mode select here on the steering wheel, which makes you kind of feel like a fighter pilot as you're changing the different drive modes on it. And then over here we have a pretty interesting setup. So you can press this little screen right here, and that'll let you actually change stuff like the exhaust, for example, but then you can go from exhaust to like the transmission to the auto stop start, and then you can press this button to actually change what's happening there. So notice with the suspension, I can change that, and then you can just keep going, right? Which is pretty cool. And again, it's just like, it just adds to the overall like pizzazz here of the SL. But anyways, there's the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster. You guys can see full digital gauge cluster. And first off, if I press the home screen button again on the left side of the steering wheel, I can change the gauge cluster. So notice that you can just change like what the whole setup looks like, which is pretty cool. I think that most people are probably gonna be driving it in either the Super Sports or the track pace, because again, that just looks so cool. And other than that, well, you guys can see the information there on the screen. There you go. Now I quickly want to show you guys the vents. Like, this is a work of art. It is just so cool how this looks. And that's how you like open or close the vent. I don't know, it's cool. Now here is the center infotainment screen. So first off, if we pop it into reverse, you guys can see we've got a 360 camera system. So we've got the backup camera view, but notice that I can go through different viewpoints, which is really cool. This is a pretty small car, and so it doesn't really need a 360 camera system, but it's awesome that it has the 360 camera system. And going on from that to the rest of the infotainment system, if you guys have seen the new screen with like the S-Class, for example, then you're probably pretty familiar with this screen. So you got like the main screen here. Notice it's on the navigation function right now. If we press the home screen button and press it again, it'll pull up this kind of like, I guess you could call it like the main auxiliary screen, whatever you want to name it, but it gives us a bunch of different functions like comfort, for example, where we have massaging seats. So while you are driving down the road at probably pretty quick paces with your V8 AMG, you can get a massage. We also have ambient lighting that you guys saw around the vent that you can change the coloration on it. And again, response time with the screen is absolutely fantastic. But another cool function is, notice with the performance page is what we can call it. You guys can see everything that is happening with the car, including like real-time horsepower and torque, and even consumption as well, which if you're buying this car, you're probably not worried about consumption. The last one is the track pace page. Yes, we understand. But notice here, of course it gives us more warnings. Just all the different setup here. Like, I don't know, just a lot of fun stuff, a lot of cool gadgets that maybe you'll never use, but it's cool that it has it. And then notice here, we've got our climate controls down below, again, dual zone climate system. Now there are a bunch of controls here at the bottom, like your volume slider. You can just slide your finger on it, or you can press it as a physical button. There's this little icon of the SL, and if you press that, notice it'll pull up this page right here, so you can raise the front of the car, for example. So if you have like a steep driveway, it'll help out with that. And so yeah, just a nice little shortcut button there. And then this is for the top right next to it to raise or lower that. We'll do that in a little bit. And then if we press the AMG logo, this actually goes to the drive mode select. So notice that we can change the drive modes here on the screen if we want. Again, remember, you've got that button on the steering wheel. There's a bunch of different ways to change the drive mode, but I love how it lets you know everything that happens in the different drive modes and just how aggressive it gets. And look at it, it's like little fiery animation. You can see with the car too. Just so much attention to detail here with the SL that just makes it exciting. Now we have our whole center console area. So first off, we can open up the center console itself, which is really practical. Has some USB ports inside of it. And then again, just look at the beautiful design here. And again, with the stitching, tons of carbon fiber. We have a wrist rest right here, which is pretty cool. And then you can just press that tab to cover this area. This contains stuff like the wireless phone charger, some more USB ports, and then some cup holders as well. And then popping over here to the glove box, you guys can see that whole setup there. And then just look at the stitching here, and then just the leather all around. Again, design absolutely top notch, but then also material use, fit and finish. Just, I mean, this is kind of cliche to say, but it's like a well-tailored suit. And even like behind the screen that you're never gonna look, you guys can see the stitching continues, like you can feel it continues across. So Mercedes did a really good job. And then popping up top, something that again just shows the quality. Look at the headliner for the soft top. This is something that you don't expect with a soft top. You usually expect just like scratchy cloth, but this has this beautiful premium headliner, which is just, yeah, again, just kind of goes with the overall theme of this car of just being really high quality. So sadly, you guys probably can't see, but it is starting to rain, and well, I'm not going to put the top down when it is raining, and yeah, not gonna run this beautiful interior. But anyways, it's pretty easy to do the top down function. You press this button right here, and then you slide it to one side or the other, whether you want to open it or close it with the top. So here's our window sticker for the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL63 Roadster is the official name. I probably butchered it at the beginning of the video, so sorry about that to all of you AMG fans. Anyways, you guys can see here with the standard equipment on the car, and then the warranty information as well. Base MSRP $178,100, and then notice this does have some really cool options added to it to make it as pretty as it is. And then you guys can see the total MSRP there, $195,785 is the total MSRP. Let's get some quick rev clips, and then that'll sum things up for our tour of this beautiful SL63. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this SL63. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Mercedes-Benz of Salt Lake for giving me some time with this SL63. Like I said, it is available for sale for the time being. If you're interested, reach out to them. Link to their inventory in the description down below. I'll see ya.